Immigrants? What's the most dehumanizing thing someone has done to you? I was 12 when we moved here from Poland. My parents sold everything we owned to buy plane tickets and first month's rent on a tiny apartment above a laundromat. Dad spoke maybe 20 words of English. Mom spoke even less. But they promised us things would be better here. The first day of school, the teacher asked me to introduce myself. I stood up and said my name. The whole class laughed. Not a little giggle, full on laughing, like I'd told the funniest joke they'd ever heard. The teacher didn't stop them. She just looked at me and said, "We're going to call you Mike. That's easier for everyone." My name isn't Mike. It's never been Mike. But from that day on, I was Mike. Teachers, students, everyone. No one even tried to say my actual name. At lunch, I sat alone. I'd brought the food my mom packed, pierogi that she'd made at 5 in the morning before her cleaning shift. The smell hit the cafeteria and 3 kids at the next table started making gagging noises. One of them said, "What is that? It smells like feet." Another kid held his nose and said, "Go eat that somewhere else, man." I threw it away. All of it. My mom had used the last of our butter to make those. When I got home, she asked how lunch was. I lied and said it was great. I stopped bringing food from home after that. I just didn't eat lunch for 3 months until my mom found out. But the worst part wasn't school. School was just kids being kids. The worst part was the grocery store. My mom would take me with her every Saturday. Her English wasn't good, so I had to translate. I was 12 years old and I had to be the adult. One day we were in the checkout line. Mom was counting out cash to pay. She counted slow because she was still learning the coins. Quarters and dimes and nickels all looked the same to her. The woman behind us in line sighed, real loud, like she wanted everyone to hear. Then she said, "Jesus Christ, can you people learn to count before you come here?" My mom didn't understand English well, but she understood the tone. I saw her face turn red. The cashier didn't say anything, just stood there scanning items like nothing happened. The woman behind us kept going. "We have to wait for this? There's actual Americans trying to shop here." I was 12. I didn't know what to say. I just stood there while my mom's hands shook counting quarters. When we finally paid and left, Mom didn't say a word the whole walk home. She just held my hand really tight. That night I heard her crying in the bathroom. My dad was working his second shift at the factory, so it was just us. I pretended I didn't hear it. The next Saturday, she tried to send Dad to the store instead. Made excuses, said she was tired, said she had a headache, but Dad worked 16-hour days. He couldn't do everything, so we kept going back. Same store, same checkout lines, and every single time Mom would freeze when it was time to count the money. Her hands would shake. She'd look at me with these apologetic eyes like she was sorry for making me be there. I started carrying a calculator. I'd add everything up before we got to the register. I'd count out the exact money before the cashier even finished scanning. I did everything I could to make it faster, to make Mom less of a target, but it didn't matter because it was never really about the counting. 20 years later, I'm a pharmacist. I own my own pharmacy in the same neighborhood where we used to live. Last month, an older woman came in. She had a thick accent, Russian maybe, Ukrainian, I couldn't tell. She was trying to ask about her prescription, but her English wasn't great. She kept apologizing, saying sorry after every sentence. The guy behind her in line sighed, real loud, that same sigh I remembered from 20 years ago. He said, "Come on, lady, there's people waiting here." I looked at him, then I looked at her, and I said, "Sir, I'm going to need you to step outside. Come back in 10 minutes when you remember how to be a decent person." He started to argue. I didn't let him. Out now. After he left, I helped the woman with her prescription. Spoke slow, wrote everything down, made sure she understood every detail. She tried to apologize again for taking so long. I told her, "You don't need to apologize, not to me, not to anyone." She smiled. It was the same smile my mom used to give me when someone finally showed her basic kindness. When she left, I stood there for a minute just staring at the door. My mom died 3 years ago. Heart attack. Sudden. I never got to tell her that those days at the grocery store weren't her fault, that she didn't need to feel ashamed for counting slow, for speaking different, for existing in a space where people made her feel like she didn't belong. So now I tell other people instead. Every single person who walks into my pharmacy gets treated like they matter, like their time matters, like their dignity matters, because I remember what it feels like when people treat you like you don't. My name still isn't Mike, by the way. I stopped answering to it 15 years ago. Now when people ask, I make them say my real name, the one my parents gave me. Some people still can't pronounce it right, but at least they try, and that's all my mom ever wanted, for someone to just try.